Mark Cerny possibly working on PS6, Sony's rumored response to the Microsoft Activision purchase, PS5 sales skyrocket in the UK, The Last of Us Season 2 might start filming this year, all that and more in today's PlayStation news. Let's get to them. Mark Cerny possibly working on PS6. Lead architect Mark Cerny is apparently working on the next PlayStation console according to a patent filed recently. The patent was first reported by VGC, saying it was a system and method for accelerated ray tracing with asynchronous operation and ray transformation, or in simpler terms, improved ray tracing. However, Digital Foundry and Resetera user Dictator has said that the patent describes hardware that is not currently on PS5, such as an RT unit like Intel or NVIDIA. That means the future hardware this refers to could be a PS5 Pro or maybe a PS6. Other users have also reported on Twitter that they heard from credible sources the Sony architect is back as lead designer for the next console. And if we remember, Insider Gaming's Tom Henderson previously reported Sony was more interested in the next PlayStation rather than a console refresh. It wouldn't be surprising for this to be a PS6 since they start working on the next console hardware almost after releasing the previous one, and Sony has already led development for the successful PS4 and PS5 and the not so successful PS Vita. But with more hits than misses, Sony certainly has all their trust in Cerny. When do you think we'll hear about the next PlayStation console? Place your bets in the comments below. Sony's rumored response to the Microsoft Activision purchase. We're on a battlefield of consolidation in the gaming industry, with the topic constantly being the Activision acquisition. Sony has made moves to acquire developers, but they have yet to go after a big publisher. According to Xfire, a source has said that if the Activision purchase goes through, Sony could be ready to retaliate by purchasing the Grand Theft Auto publisher Take-Two. Xfire also knows that it makes sense for Sony to acquire a big publisher to get ready if Call of Duty and other Activision games indeed become exclusive after 10 years, but also Take-Two won't be willing to sell anytime soon given they have the upcoming GTA 6. Taking into account Sony's previous acquisitions being only developers, I don't think they are too worried about getting a publisher. Take-Two's market cap is $20 billion, and I'm not sure Sony would be able to keep up with Microsoft's purchasing spree, nor think they need to. Their best bet would be to keep bolstering their first-party studios and franchises, get third-party collaborations like Spider-Man, or continue with exclusive partnerships such as Final Fantasy XVI, even if they are not as big as Call of Duty. In the past 15 years, they came up with Horizon, The Last of Us, and Uncharted, raised the interest in God of War, and team up with Marvel for Spider-Man, each of these franchises gathering more than 20, 30, and 40 million copies sold. Take-Two or Square Enix, which has also been rumored to be purchased by Sony, would be great acquisitions, but again, these are just rumors and I don't think they will happen anytime soon, if at all. But what do you think? Does Sony need to buy a publisher? Will they get Take-Two? Sound off in the comments. PS5 sales skyrocket in the UK. PS5 continues enjoying a huge boost in sales since the stock issues ended completely at the beginning of the year. The system has led hardware sales so far this year in the US and is recovering ground in Japan, even with no software sales to tie into. In the UK, the console managed to get a massive 316% sales boost in February compared to the same month last year, and 25% over this past January. Overall, PS5 in 2023 is 180% up over the same period last year. As for games, Hogwarts Legacy was responsible for the sales boost for the console. The title was the biggest game of the month, surpassing Elden Ring, which was the bestseller for February last year, and it's closer to overtaking the all-time sales numbers of the From Software title. The Last of Us Part 2 returned to the UK charts top 10, doubling sales of the previous month. The Last of Us Remastered improved by over 50%, pushing it to number 14, and the PS5 remake also increased to move to 19 in the rank. All of these have seen increased sales due to the HBO show. God of War Ragnarok is still fighting in the top 10 but barely making the cut, and the same can be said for the Dead Space remake at number 9. Even PS5 accessories are the top seller in the UK, with 3 color variants from the DualSense taking the top 3 spots: white, grey camo, and midnight black. The DualSense Edge arrived at retailers in the last week of February, being the most expensive controller of all time as per average selling price, and debuted as the 4th biggest launch for this type of hardware behind Microsoft Elite controllers. What do you think about this huge improvement in PS5 sales? Let us know in the comments. Bruce Straley opens a debate on linear games. The Last of Us co-creator Bruce Straley has opened a debate on Twitter about game design by saying linear games are just easier to make, something that I don't think anyone had any doubt about. After that, everyone followed by commenting on their favorite game design and whether linear games were good or bad. Some said they were not that interesting while others praised how they elevate narrative. In my opinion, linear games are very powerful at telling a contained story that can be expanded as much as you want with environmental storytelling, and while they may lack puzzles or combat in comparison to other games, their narrative has a chance to make more memorable characters such as The Last of Us. The past generation and this one has given up on those games in favor of time-consuming open-world games or live services just because publishers want you to spend a lot of time with the game instead of selling it back, and some people are starting to get tired of them. Just look at the reaction to Suicide Squad. My favorite is a mix of the two in wild linear games, such as the classic Resident Evil games, the most recent God of War, or Bloodborne, where you have a maze that you start opening up paths as you progress. I also appreciate a condensed story where you can enjoy moving from one story beat to the other, while open world games scratch an itch of getting everything done, such as the Ubisoft checklist formula. So in the end, I enjoy all three, just to different degrees. You guys are very similar as per our poll in the community tab, where linear and wide linear games were very close with open world not so far behind. I also agree with a comment from Keep It Real that they love games like Bloodborne and Elden Ring, but something about just hopping in a game and being immersed in a story is just as satisfying when the story is written well, of course. The conclusion is that all types of game design are important. I just wish the whole industry didn't chase trends so that when one game becomes popular, everyone wants to have their own. But what do you think about this? Do you like linear games and hope there were more of them? Voice your opinion in the comments. The Last of Us Season 2 might start filming this year. The Last of Us HBO is just one episode away from the big finale, and if you are wondering when is the second season going to hit, Pedro Pascal seems to have the answer. The actor said in an interview with Collider that since we're getting into the spring season, there's a chance it could start filming this year. If what he said ends up being true, I would say it puts season 2 around early 2025. Having aired episode 8 last Sunday, The Last of Us HBO has an overall 9.1 user rating on IMDb, where episode 8 is the highest rated with 9.6 and episode 7 is the lowest with 7.4. I liked episode 8 overall. I think they managed to cover most of what they needed to, but I felt the game managed to slightly edge out the storytelling in this case. What did you think about the latest episode? No spoilers. When do you think we'll get season 2? Share with us in the comments. Now let's go for a round of quick-fire game news. PlayStation has been criticized for not doing enough against hate, harassment, and extremism in online games. That is according to a letter sent in December 2022 by lawmakers in an effort led by Congresswoman Lori Trahan. Sony responded by saying they help educate parents on console safety and features, plus share a commitment to safer gaming with Microsoft and Nintendo, but Trahan said nearly all companies' responses failed to address the issue. Sony is being ordered to pay refunds for around $359 on FIFA Ultimate Team packs after an Austrian court ruled that the game mode is indeed a form of gambling. This is the result of a filing made in 2020 from several FIFA players against Sony, and while the Japanese company doesn't make the game, they get a cut of every microtransaction in this mode. FIFA loot boxes were previously scrutinized in a Netherlands court, but last year they overruled the decision that EA had to pay a €10 million fine. The Ukrainian government has requested Sony, Valve and Microsoft to remove Atomic Heart from stores since the game was developed by Moonfish, who apparently have ties with the Russian regime. Vice Prime Minister Mikhailo Fedorov published a letter online where he said he believes SIE doesn't want to be considered as a platform that supports communism, even in such futuristic execution. Insomniac's Wolverine may have enlisted actor Steve Blum, who has voiced the iconic mutant in various animated series, or at least that is what fans believe. Blum posted a video on his Instagram where he was with motion capture gear, saying it was for a project he was involved in a while back that he can't talk about. Again, this is pure fan and speculation and nothing confirms it so far. Square Enix has indicated how long are the cinematics that the company produced for Final Fantasy XVI. Producer Naoki Yoshida said as part of the press interviews for the recent preview of the game that one of the things important to them was to tell a story that was complete from beginning to end. Final Fantasy XVI will have over 11 hours of cinematic cutscenes in the main scenario alone, all seamlessly interwoven into the game experience, playing in-engine in real time. Rapper 50 Cent has been making teases online about Vice City, which has led people to believe a Grand Theft Auto related announcement could be coming soon, but unclear if he's implying a role on GTA 6 or an upcoming reveal for the game, and neither Take-Two nor Rockstar have commented on these teases. In other GTA 6 rumors, it appears Rockstar may be thinking about cutting content from the main game in order to launch the game no later than 2025. Bandai Namco has announced a new Dragon Ball Z Budokai Tenkaichi game at the Dragon Ball FighterZ World Tour Finals. There's only one teaser that goes through the original Budokai games, ending with Goku turning Super Saiyan Blue. No platforms are announced, but safe to expect the game on PS5 and maybe PS4. Paradox Interactive held a livestream on Monday where they revealed new games coming soon, including Cities Skylines 2, which will arrive on PS5 later this year. The first game just got an update with the PSVR 2 launch last month. Avalanche Software has thanked fans over the globe for the reception of Hogwarts Legacy and has delayed the PS4 version to May 5th, saying the team is working hard to deliver the best possible experience on all platforms for what they needed more time. And those are the PlayStation stories for today. What are your thoughts on them? Share them in the comments below, let me know your feedback by liking or disliking this video, check out other videos you may enjoy while you're here, and consider subscribing for more on PlayStation. Thank you so much for watching, my name is Joseph, this is Hype for Games, and let's get hype!